Periscope won't let me go live to Periscope. Why is that? But I think we're live everywhere. Wait a minute and try again. All right, I will wait a minute and try again. But right now we're live everywhere else. We're just not going to be live. There we go. All right, boom. Good evening, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live right here on Mike Avery Outdoors. My name is Mike Avery, and I'm glad to have you along with us this evening on a kind of a warmer than we would like, right? Wednesday evening. I mean, we are in the middle of September. It's September 15th. So you would think that it's going to be starting to cool off, but the weather here, the weather forecast. My camera's backwards. Before somebody corrects me, boom. I took care of it. I fixed it before you could point it out. Good evening, John. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. Katie, you're jumping the gun. Katie says, Mike, what day is it? It's hump day. Hump day. Mike, it's hump day. Congrats on the bear. Love the story. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Good evening, buddy. Brent, how are you? Bill, nice to have you along. Okay, how are you? Jared's with us, getting ready for turkeys this weekend. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. Good evening, Tom. Doug says, what a beautiful night it is. Good evening, Jeff. How are you watching over on YouTube? Good evening, big guy. Well, Craig, right back at you, buddy. It was nice to see you up at Jay's on Saturday. We were both there for the big 50th anniversary celebration. Carl, good evening. Nice to have you along with us. Jerry is watching us on Instagram this morning on our weekly Behind the Mic segments. Evening, Norm. How are you? Good evening, David. Nice to have you along with us. My name is Mike Avery. This is another edition of Wednesday Night Live here on my Facebook page, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitter as well. A few things to talk about tonight. Leaving in the morning for Montana. I was wondering about that. Hey, let me ask you, my friends, as you are watching this, do you see this banner right here that says live and the number of viewers? Do you see that? Or am I the only one who sees that? The reason I ask is it's right across my face, and I will change the framing of this thing. If you see that banner right there, live with a number of viewers, Jeff, you don't see it? Jeff doesn't see it over on YouTube. Good evening, Jason. How are you? Somebody watch it. You see it on Facebook. You do see it. All right, let me change that because I actually find that very disturbing. Now, John, okay, some of you see it and some of you don't. But some of you don't see it and some of you do. Very interesting. I wonder why. Well, it doesn't cover my face, but Rob says he does not see it on Facebook. John says he does not see it on Facebook. But others say, yes, John says he does see it on Facebook. Huh. Well, I'm going to change the framing here. Oh, anyway, Scott, sorry to leave your... It's a Facebook thing, Lori says. It's just a Facebook thing. There's nothing you can do about it. I want to go back to this. Rick says, good evening, Mike. My son Mason and I watched it this morning in the school drop-off line. Now we're watching it at home. I posted his picture to your site as well. Thanks for being a Youth Hunt supporter. I am a huge supporter of the Youth Hunt. I got a couple of texts coming in from buddies. Let me see. Oh. Okay, I see what you're seeing. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so you see something a little bit different than what I do, so I can change the framing back. Thank you, guys. Okay, I see something different than you do. Okay. All right, that makes sense. Anyway, I fixed it. Now we know. You are my extra set of eyes and my brains. And I can use all the help I can get. Going to the youth hunt. I am a huge supporter of the youth hunt. In fact, I was over at my buddy Scott Gatz's house with my grandson Carter. Didn't get a big doe. Got a shot at a big doe, but she was actually farther than what I had thought. I had ranged a tree and I thought it was 30 yards. Carter took a shot at her. Fortunately, it was a good, clean miss. Always better to have a clean miss than a bad hit, right? He shot just underneath her. In fact, he got a little bit of hair on his arrow. No blood or anything, just shaved a little hair. And it was actually 35 yards. That was my fault. I told him to go ahead and take the shot. So that was on me. But fortunately, it was a good, clean miss. Again, a clean miss is better than a bad hit any day of the week. But I love the youth hunt. Can I make one observation? And if you were with me this morning, I'm repeating myself and I apologize. And this isn't just for the youth hunt. This is for all pictures of people sitting over dead animals. Can you put the deer's tongue back in its mouth, please? Is that too much to ask? You've seen the cartoons with a dead animal with a tongue hanging out and it's got stars in its eyes or crosses in its eyes. That's what these pictures remind me of every time I see a picture, an otherwise beautiful picture of a kid or any hunter sitting over any kind of a big game animal and the tongue's hanging out. All I can see then is the tongue. I don't even look at the kid. I don't look at the deer. I am drawn to that tongue hanging out the side of the animal's mouth. And it makes us look bad. Dave says the tongue seems to fall on deaf ears, man, but I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep saying it. Just cut the tongue off. Yeah. Just get it out of the picture. I don't care if you cut it. I know they're excited. Ross, I get that. People are excited. Chris said, good point. Make it look nice. It's the memory of a lifetime. And it's easy to get excited. I get that. I've done it with bears before. I've been sitting over a bear before and looked down while I was on camera, not live, obviously, but rolling video. I look down, I see the tongue hanging out. So I just reached down underneath the bear's jaw and I put the tongue back in. Back in the day of when you and I shared pictures of our animals on a photograph that we handed to each other, we took out of our pocket or took out of our wallet and says, here, look at this. It didn't matter what it looked like. It could be as bloody and gory as you wanted because we as hunters know when you kill something, there is blood. But these days, now that we're sharing everything on social media, the minute you put it online, you're not just sharing it with your best friends, you're potentially sharing it with anybody online. And with that comes a certain amount of responsibility, meaning we as hunters need to portray ourselves in a positive manner and as stewards of the resource that we are. We're never gonna sway the anti-hunters, and I'm not caving to the anti-hunters because I could give a rip about the anti-hunters. I say, anti-hunters, bring it on. You want to get in a feud with me? Let's do it. I want to appeal to the 80% of the people in the middle. You've got you and me on one side, you got the anti-hunters on the other. But you've got the 80% of people in the middle who don't necessarily hunt. They've never been exposed to it. Just cut the tongue out or put it back in the mouth. Louis says something interesting too. And I watch the muzzle direction of the gun or the crossbow. I see this all the time too. And some of these pictures, it looks like the muzzle's pointing at the hunter or it looks like the bow is, but in real life, it's not. But the pictures make it seem that they are. Maybe, Dave. Maybe. Dave makes a good point. Image is big today. I don't like the fact that image is big, but you know what? In the world that we live in today, perception is important. Image is important. So we need to portray ourselves as the stewards of the resource and the responsible people that we are. Do you see anything as possible? Do you see anything on possible parvovirus exposure? No, I didn't hear anything about it, Ed. Nothing. Nothing. But why not? Why not add another pandemic or another disease or another condition? Then the news will have something more to report on. I was watching the news the other day in the morning with my wife, Denise. And I said, if coronavirus suddenly went away, there would be nothing to talk about in the news because they work it into every kind of story that there is. And if it suddenly went away, they would have nothing to talk about. Hey, Stu, how are you? Hunter Safety and Gaylord next Saturday and Sunday. Free. Excellent, Stu. Excellent. Appreciate that. Get me excited right off the bat. Why don't you? I have not been out perch fishing. Let's see. I can't wait till the season starts. Mutual partner versus Skins. A partner Michigan Crossbow Hunters. Paul Pro. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Absolutely a great guy. Irresponsible dog breeder on the is it parvo? What is it? Parvovirus. I don't know what that is, except that it's in dogs and not people. Is that true? Ian says, I have a little problem with people coming from up north with a deer strapped to the hood of their car, blood dripping down. Not just respectful, just not respectful. Add that to the list. Ian agreed completely. Trekking outdoors. I saw the video. Well, obviously, you sent it to me. And I responded. I haven't checked to see if you responded to my response yet. But that video of that moose hunt was some of the most close-up, in-your-face moose video I have ever seen. Question is, where was it from? Was it one of your guys? It was beautiful. Beautiful. Cover that in hunter safety. Respect the public. Thank you, Stu. Respect the critters that we're hunting, and then respect the public's perception of. When we were kids, we didn't have to worry about it, but we got to worry about it now. Colorado, and it was you guys. Very, very cool. Very cool. Oh, what else? Any comments here I'm going to respond to that I didn't get to see? Hey, Link, how are you, buddy? Gary says these youth hunters will grow up to be great citizens. By the way, a lot of deer up here in Tawas. Should be a good year. By the way, our daughter Emily got married a few weeks ago in Colorado, was greeted by a young bear on their honeymoon porch after the ceremony, the sign of a happy marriage. Love you, buddy. Oh, Link, we call him Link, Gary Linkowski, and his beautiful wife, Kyle. I worked with them both at TV5, WNEM TV in Saginaw, and we had a lot of fun. Didn't we, Link? That's back when you could make working in television news fun and still do a good job. When I see these kids on the air now, I'm not sure it's fun. And let's just say a lot of them have a few years ahead of them in experience. That's all right. Kids have to learn. Good evening, Danny. How are you? Patrick says he lives in Commerce Township in a subdivision, found a dead doe next to a pond. DNR said EHD. He said Oakland County has the most current. Oh, see, this is interesting. Very interesting. Patrick, I would like to learn more about this because on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, I interviewed the state's premier #1 DNR wildlife biologist and pathologist, Tom Cooley. He has personally handled more whitetails that have been infected with disease than anybody in Michigan, for sure. He didn't mention that. If there is a confirmed outbreak of EHD, and I had the guy on the show, and he didn't mention it, I'm disappointed to say the least. Nick has found 5 on his property. Okay, this is interesting. A non-hunter, a non-anti-gun, or friends, we don't want to turn them into anti-hunters. Absolutely. That is, Let me follow up on this. If there is an EHD outbreak this year, I'm going to follow up on it. And if I had the state's number one whitetail disease guy on the air today and he didn't mention it, let's just say I'll be very disappointed. Making my notes here. EHD question mark. John says from EHD or hit by a car. Paul checking in on YouTube from Missouri. How are you, Paul? Nice to have you along with us. Appreciate it. What else? Speaking of Missouri, I did an interest in, I'll get to all my topics tonight, but I recorded today. I sound like a chef. Today I recorded. I don't know why I said chef, but sometimes when I hear the chefs give their recipes, I think they said that backwards, but I guess it's a chef thing. I recorded a Shadow Hunter podcast today. Now, I'm not a professional football fan. I'm a college football fan, but not a professional football fan. But those of you who are, do you recognize the name Adam Vinatieri? Do you know who Adam Vinatieri is? Yes? No? I'll find my notes here eventually. Adam Vinatieri. You know who he is? He has the record for scoring more points in the NFL than anybody ever. Martin says he knows who he is. He's a kicker, Jason says. Yeah. Kicker for the Patriots and in Indianapolis. Robert says yes. All right, Johnny. Good luck to you, buddy. I had him on Best Kicker in Football. Yes. I had him on the Shadow Hunter Blinds podcast today. Interesting guy. Very cool guy. Very humble guy. And the reason when you said Missouri made me think of him is he's got a place in Missouri, a high fence operation called Record Breaking Ranch in Missouri. He's also got a free range operation down in Indiana that he bought when he played with Indianapolis Patriots and then the Colts as well. Ian says, I think they said 2 confirmed cases might not be considered an outbreak. Fair enough. Bill says one of the best kickers in history. Yeah. He is a hunter, Jason, and a hardcore hunter. And that's why I had him on the podcast. I found him to be very interesting. I will have that podcast uploaded probably tomorrow. Really cool guy. Do I have much experience with the 350 Legend? Any thoughts on it? Dave? Not only do I not have much experience with the 350, I don't have any experience with the 350 or the 450. I'm not much of a gun hunter. I love guns. But mainly I'm into self-protection, concealed carry handguns. I have hunted deer with a 300 Win Mag. I have hunted deer with a 270. I have hunted deer with a 30-06. That's the extent. I have no experience with the 450 or the 450 Bushmaster or the 350 Legend. So I can't tell you anything about it because I'd be talking out my rear end, and I don't want to do that. Pat checking in from Ontario for bush chickens. Have fun, Pat. Always nice to have you along with us. Let me show you a video here. Yeah. Thanks for nothing, eh, Dave? Let me show you a video. And let me just set this up. Randy limited out on perch today, which leads me very well into this, my next topic. Randy, I'm done. I thought I was going to make it out perch fishing. I'm not. In fact, the next time that I am, I think I've heard it. He maybe second or third place kicker behind Pat McAfee and Jason Hansen. No, I think he's the number one leading scorer in the NFL, all-time leading scorer. But what do I know? I don't care about the NFL, except when I interview a guy like Adam Vinatieri, who's a very interesting guy and a nice guy. Well, that's the whole thing, Randy. I appreciate the invitation, but I'm getting preoccupied with other things now. The next time the Angler Quest will be underway will be a trip across Saginaw Bay to Linwood Beach Marina to have her winterized. Yes, he is the number one scorer. I'm done. But speaking of Angler Quest, I was at their plant in St. Louis, Michigan earlier in the week to get a look at these new Angler Quests. Let me show you very quickly. This is just a 1-minute video. Let me show you Brad Dupuis, Mr. Angler Quest himself, and a walkthrough.
We did a lot of massive things this year, from an 8.5-foot platform to 1.25-inch railing to powder coating to a very cleaned up back end of the boat to cantilevered extension where you're actually cantilevered a foot over the water in the rear corners of the boat. So that's a really cool feature that I'm pretty proud of. New furniture package, new color schemes, marine mat on the center console pro stuff, which is a really nice touch with a really cool AQ logo. New Bimini, which features a strutless design. It's a bigger tubing, a 1.25-inch. The no strut thing is a big deal for fishability, as you know. Very stout, so you can run at high speeds with no issues at all. So a lot of really cool things. 25-inch pontoons, one-piece risers too, some structure upgrades, just a lot of stuff. It was a challenge with the year that we had due to the restrictions and componentry and the things that we buy, but we pulled it off and they turned out really nice.
They did pull it off, and it did turn out really nice. I'm going to go back to that in a minute. I want to respond to a couple of questions here. First day of small game hunting used to be a big thing. Didn't see any activity at all today. What about the fall brawl, the big fall brawl down on Lake Erie? I will not be taking part of it, but I will be talking about it on the show. With the new models, and you have no choice but to upgrade. I will be upgrading. I will be upgrading. In fact, I will be upgrading probably to an 826 Pro Troll 2022 model. Here's what they did. Just when I thought they could not make these beautiful Michigan-made Angler Quest fishing machines any better, here's what they did. They made them better. Instead of being 8 feet wide now, they're 8.5 feet wide. They have put a new Bimini on top. Now, I'm a guy who leaves my Bimini up all season long, so to me, that's a big deal. They extended the floor, the fishing platform, out beyond, a foot beyond the back end of the boat, the transom. Didn't I interview Paul Perrone? You mean Paul Perrone? Paul Perrone from VersaSkins. Yes, I did. They extended the floor a foot beyond the back of the boat. So when you're fishing, you can just reach down with a net or lift a fish up. That's a big deal. They changed the furniture setup. They've upgraded that. New floors. They changed the color on the helm. I mean, some of these were aesthetic and cosmetic, and some of them were just downright form, function, feature. Really, really nice stuff. So, yeah, I'm hoping to be running one of those next spring. What do we got here? Yes, Paul Perrone from VersaSkins. I did interview him. Mike says, nice show from Jay's last week. Well, thank you, Mike, for checking in. Doug says, if you're in Linwood, stop by Naughty Eats Ice Cream Shop. I'll buy you an ice cream cone. Well, I'm trying not to eat ice cream, trying to keep the weight off, but on a hot day, I might take you up. But Linda, you are my idol and my hero right now. All right. She can't hear us. She's sitting in her tree, waiting for a bear, got you muted so you can't hear me. Good luck, Linda. Good luck, Linda. Wasn't he the one that was called the Love Chef at one point? Geez, I don't think so. If so, he's a different Paul Perrone than I know. Talk about Biminis. I got one that covers the entire boat. Harry, the one on my Angler Quest covers from the front of the boat back past the helm. The only thing that's open is about 5 feet in the cockpit of the boat. That's what you want on a hot summer day, isn't it? John says he lost me on Facebook. Had to go over to YouTube. I think I'm still good on Facebook. Others are still here with me. Okay. I want to save you some money now. I have been promoting the Primal Tree Stands Wraith 270 see-through ground blind. There's always next year, Randy. We can always hope. You know, I love that blind. And I had been sending you in the past to outdoorpregame.com. Things have changed. Outdoorpregame.com has been phased out. Where we want you to go today is, let me share a screen with you. Share a screen, Chrome tab, boom, share. I want you to go to this website now, primaltreestands.com. Primaltreestands.com. Here's the Wraith. You see it for $260, basically. Okay. If you add this to your cart, look at $260, well, $258. Proceed to checkout. Use the promo code Avery. Apply. It goes to $199.42. Primaltreestands.com. That's Paul Prudhomme. Good point. Oh, Dave's had his in a box in springtime to get it out. Absolutely. Primaltreestands.com. Primaltreestands.com. Use the promo code Avery, and you can get a discount on everything on their website. And you can get the Wraith 270 see-through blind for $199.42. That's cheaper than you can get it on Amazon. Let me save you some more money. Go to michiganbrand.net, michiganbrand.net. Use the promo code Mike21. Get a 20% discount on everything on the website, including the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks. Bernie, good point. He went back and he changed all the ratchet straps on his bow blinds today. He means bow stands. People often, and I hear this all the time, talking about blinds and stands. And I had this conversation with my grandson Carter yesterday. He was talking about tree blinds. There's really no such thing as a tree. There's not. And he said, well, Grandpa, what's the difference between a blind and a stand? I said, Carter, here's the litmus test. He didn't know a litmus test. I said, here's the deal. If you get in it, if you set in it, it's a blind. If you set on it, it's a stand. If you set in it, it's a blind. If you set on it, it's a stand. Best way to remember it. Mike had a successful Liberty hunt. Good deal, Mike. If you sent me a picture, I haven't seen it yet. Jim's got a Wraith. He got a turkey out of it, setting up tomorrow for deer. Excellent. And the final thing, if you want to join MUCC, mucc.org, use the promo code Mike, all caps, save 25%. See, I'm here to save you money, my friends. Speaking of what Bernie said, where'd we go? I want to go back to Bernie. He said he changed all the ratchet straps. Too many people ignore them and they get rotten, not safe. Thank you, Bernie, for that reminder. Speaking of that, let me give you the rundown of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show because, Bernie, you've led me right into this very well. Thank you. In hour number one, Brad Dupuis of Angler Quest Boats. You just saw a video I played of him. Then Scott Safransky of Linwood Beach Marina. He's talking about the perch fishery on Saginaw Bay, and he's talking about winterizing your boat. A lot of you hardcore anglers say it's not time to winterize until the ice forms. I agree. But for me, I have these grandiose plans of I'm going to get out fishing in September. I'm going to get out in October. No, I'm not. I never do. So I'm going to send the next time on my boat is going to be heading to Linwood Beach Marina. You're welcome, Bernie. Linwood Beach Marina, and I'm going to put the Angler Quest to bed for the winter. In hour number two, here's the safety part. Jerry Widener of the Hunter Safety System. I'll come back to Jerry in a minute. Then Tom Cooley of the DNR, and he's the biologist and pathologist I was talking about that never mentioned EHD. This week's Ask Avery segment, I'll come back to that. And then hour number three, Jim Hoy, talking about wolves in the UP and what the locals want to do about it. And we wrap it all up with wild game chef Dave Miner. Okay, 2 points I'm coming back to regarding this week's show. Jerry Widener of the Hunter Safety System. 20 years ago, and I'm dating myself. I'm an old guy, but look at me. Of course, I'm an old guy. 20 years ago, and it's hard to believe it's been 20 years, when John Widener, Jerry Widener, and their buddy Jim Barta, Barta, started Hunter Safety System. I had a show on the Outdoor Channel. Jerry reached out to me. He says, Mike, we see your show and we like it, and we're looking for shows to advertise on. Would you partner up with us? And I said, well, tell me more about it. When he explained the product, I said, that sounds like a great idea. I'd love to partner with you. And we've been partners ever since. They first came up with a Hunter Safety System vest after John slid down a tree when the bottom part of his climber went out from underneath him, his climbing stand. And so they came up with the concept of a Hunter Safety System vest. And I think in many ways, they changed the way hunters look at tree stand safety. No longer is it cool or macho to go up a tree without a full body harness on. In fact, I would tell you, I think it's stupid and I think it's selfish. Even if you don't care about yourself, there are people in this world who love you and care about you and need you. A spouse, kids, grandkids, employees, employers, somebody cares about you, even if you don't care about yourself. Two types of tree stand hunters, those who have fallen and those who will. But if you wear a full body harness and a lifeline going up a tree and coming back down, even if you fall, you can't hit the ground. I see James, my son James and I had many wonderful hunts with the folks from Hunter Safety System. We hunted Michigan together. We hunted Ohio together. We hunted Illinois together. We hunted Kansas together. We hunted Alberta together. We had some great hunts. Great people. HunterSafetySystem.com is the website, HunterSafetySystem.com. Second thing I wanted to follow up, this week's Ask Avery segment. Over the weekend, I had several people get in touch with me and say their local station aired last week's show. I've heard this before. When I get emails or comments or texts saying such and such a station, that person's local station, is airing last week's show, it makes me sick to my stomach and it ruins my weekend because I put too much work into those shows to have them not air. Sam Austin from jsportinggoods.com. He's hanging in a tree right now waiting for a bear. 3 sits so far. No, went nocturnal on Monday. Of course they did, because that's when you started the hunt, Sam. Good luck to you, buddy. I will promise you this. You will never, I'll back up. I respect you and your time and your listening. I have too much respect for you to repeat a show. I won't do that to you. The week my dad died, we produced a new show. I am not going to disrespect you and send my affiliate stations a repeat from the week before. I'm not going to do it. Not going to happen. However, last couple of months, we've had some technical problems that have caused the wrong show to air a couple of times too many. Do not get mad at your local affiliate. Not their fault. They air what they get from the satellite. I upload the correct shows. Sometimes because of human error, or sometimes because of technical glitches between me uploading it and the show or the station's downloading it, sometimes there's a problem. We took steps today to try to prevent that from ever happening again. And it is my hope and prayer that the problem has been solved. Because if it frustrates you to hear last week's show, it makes me sick. Because too much time and effort has gone into those shows to try to get you to listen to the same one twice. I would not do that to you. If it happens in the future, go to the podcast. I always say the best way to listen to the radio show is on your local radio station. But if something happens, there's always the podcast. Scott says, I know you and Dave M. I'm assuming Dave Miner have been friends, worked together for so many years. Didn't Dave do other interviews? Scott, tell me more what you mean by that. I don't know. Rob says the bears have been nocturnal for him the whole first hunt. Stu says, set your harness properly and you're not going to fall far. Easy peasy. And Jerry Widener, when I was talking to him in the conversation today, I said, Jerry, I think you guys have changed the way this new generation of hunters looks at tree stand safety. The new hunters, and Stu, you would know better than I, the young hunters that I know, it's just part of their gear. They reach for their bow, they reach for their gun, and they reach for their safety harness. It's just part of their gear. Amen to that, Mike. You can't fall out of a new Wraith ground blind. That's one of the reasons I like ground blinds. They protect you from the elements. They conceal your movement. They contain your scent somewhat. And they're safe. I used to say you can't fall out of a ground blind until I fell out of a ground blind. I had a blind. Sam's dad, Dave says, good luck, Sam. I'll be waiting to hear. I had a ground blind sitting on the side of a hill one time. And I wasn't paying attention. And I did something and I lost my balance and the chair tumbled over and I actually fell out of the ground blind. So I will no longer make the blank statement that you can't fall out of a ground blind, because you can. You got to be pretty uncomfortable, pretty uncoordinated and clumsy to do it, but I did. What else is on my list? Yeah, Dave Miner. You've seen Dave. I think he did something on PBS. I think. But no, he's my guy. Harry says, yeah, Avery, I've known you forever. I can see you doing that. Yeah. There was no video. I tell you what, Bernie, there is some video of my bear hunt in Ontario that you may or may not see. On my phone, I have, and by the way, I'm using my phone for almost everything these days. There's an app called Double Take where you can videotape in front of you and you can videotape you as the subject. So I'm walking through the bush in Ontario. I've got both cameras rolling. They're not rolling, they're recording. That's an old term, rolling, back from when we used to roll film and then videotape. So they're both recording. Going through the bush, I get to the edge of the creek that the bear crossed. Creek, I know. The creek that the bear crossed. What I didn't know was as I'm standing on the edge of this creek, it dropped straight off. There were weeds, there was grass, there was bushes that were hanging out over the edge. So I thought the bank extended another 2 feet. So in my excitement, as I'm looking at the blood trail and I'm looking at the camera, I made another step. And stepped into nothingness. Into about a 3-foot drop. So as I'm talking to the camera, you see me go, whoa, backwards and bang, hit my head on a tree behind me. While the camera was recording. Probably not going to see that video either. Harry says he loves the Wednesday Night Live icon. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate that. Ouch is right. I have realized that as I am older, not that I was ever real nimble or very svelte. You know, being 6'5", I guess I've always been a little bit on the clumsy side. So I did this while I was bear hunting in Ontario. Last fall, I was trying to help drag out my grandson's bear. My son James, deer, took a break, and I'm like, I'm still a stud. I stepped up. I can help out here. I grabbed onto the drag and tripped and went face first into the ground. So there's that. And of course, a year and a half ago, I was turkey hunting, had all my gear in my hands, tripped over a log, went face first into the ground, and blew my eye out. Actually, I blew it out. It was physically still there, but the insides of my eye turned to mush. Bloopers. There we go. Avery Outdoor bloopers. There have been a few of them over the years. So I guess the point is, Bernie says he's done some of those himself. You got to be careful. Something as mundane as getting into a boat, walking on a dock, crossing a creek, walking through the woods, all of these things, though mundane and easy and simple and basic, are ways that you can screw up. And if there's nobody around, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you do something just right and you fall and you break up an ankle, you break up a leg or something, you're hosed. Do we, Harry, or is it just me? My point is, be careful. What they used to say on that Hill Street Blues, the sergeant used to send the guys out in the street and say, be careful out there. That's my advice to you. Be careful out there. Tony says, all us outdoorsmen fall. Chris says, back before the surgeries, you were a ballerina. Chris, I don't know about that. And the fact that I've had both of my knees replaced. Here we go. Both knees replaced. See that scar right there? This wrist has been rebuilt. You see this scar right here? That wrist has been rebuilt. You see this scar? Which one is it? This scar, I don't even know what. I got a fake elbow too. So I got 2 fake knees. I have a fake elbow. Both wrists have been rebuilt. I'm kind of like the Bionic Man. The $6 million man has nothing over on me. Is that why we don't see any live ice fishing videos on Avery Outdoors? Nope. The reason you don't see any live ice fishing videos is you won't see Avery on the ice. Just not much of an ice fisherman. I spend enough time on the water in the summertime when it's warm that I don't need to go out there. That's what they are. They're trophies. They're trophies. That's what they are. Nope, not taking him back out doe hunt. I'm not hunting this weekend, Craig. I got things I got to catch up on. I am way, way, way behind. Ed says I'm like Steve Majors. I was trying to think of who it was. $6 million man. Nope, not hunting this weekend. Mike says he climbed into a tree stand once and found an old hornet's nest. Yeah, he says, boy, did that suck. I bet that did. I bet that did. I know. Some cool old Jays commercials were posted the other day on YouTube. I saw those. One more point, and I'm going to go. Lee Majors, yes, $6 million man. Last week, as part of the 50th anniversary of Jay's Sporting Goods, I had a wonderful opportunity. I had the chance to sit in a room. Brent, yeah? You're going to be fine, buddy. I have confidence in you. You're going to be just fine. You're going to kill a buck, too. My prediction. Brent is going to kill a buck. My prediction. I had the opportunity to sit in a conference room at Jay's with Arlene Yost, who was married to Jay of Jay's Sporting Goods for many, many years. Jeff Poet, Jay's son, who is now president of Jay's Sporting Goods, and JJ Poet, Jay's son, vice president of Jay's Sporting Goods. We sat in that room. I was rolling cameras and audio, and I had them tell me the story of how Jay's Sporting Goods came to be. And it is a fascinating, wonderful, interesting story. Jay Poet started selling guns from the trunk of his car at Dow Corning in Midland. That's how Jay's Sporting Goods started. You can't do that today. You go to Dow Corning now, open up your trunk and pull out a gun, and you're going to be in jail. Different time. Then they went to the garage of their house in Clare. They outgrew that. They went to the famous Blue Building in Clare. They outgrew that. Then they went north of town, built a building there a mile north of town. They outgrew that. They expanded that, and then they expanded to a store in Gaylord. But this entire story is documented, and I should have that podcast uploaded tomorrow, and you can bet that I will put a link to that as well. A great American success story, and they're celebrating 50 years. Congrats on that. All right, my friends, I have talked long enough, but I appreciate you joining me. You can always reach me, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's my email address, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. You can send me private messages here on the social media outlets, but I got to be honest. There are so many of them. Sometimes I get inundated and I don't remember where the different messages came from. So the best way, if you can, send me an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Good point. Dow Corning no longer exists. Where is that? Dow Corning no longer exists. But we worked with guys who knew Jay and Dick. See, I don't know Dick. I've never heard the name Dick Poet. I don't even know who that is. Interesting. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. That Jay's Harry, I want to see you on the other end of this thing. The Jay's podcast should be uploaded tomorrow. All right, my friends, thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Have a good night. Oh, I have more youth hunt and successful bear hunt pictures to post. I'm working on it. I'll post them all, I promise. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Have a good night, my friends.